Kent County Circuit Court is now in session. The Honorable J. Joseph Rossi presiding. We are here in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kelly Fitzgerald, case number 21-00863-FH.
And this matter comes before the court today on an allegation that Ms. Fitzgerald violated the court's order of probation. As an initial matter, Ms. Hamel, why don't you lead us off?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Ray's Velis representing the Michigan Department of Corrections.
And Mr. Gears, would you place your appearance on the record?
Thank you, Your Honor. Brent Gears on behalf of Ms. Fitzgerald.
Very good. And Ms. Fitzgerald, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Ms. Fitzgerald, do you understand the maximum penalty I could impose on the underlying charge of operating while intoxicated? Third offense would be 5 years in the Michigan Women's Prison.
Yes.
All right. And you also know that if you disagree that you violated my order of probation, that you're entitled to a hearing. I would conduct that either by Zoom like we're doing today, or you'd be entitled to request it be in person in the courtroom. And during that hearing, I would appoint a lawyer to represent you, and your lawyer could cross-examine any agent of the Department of Corrections Probation Department that testified, as well as any other law enforcement officers, and could also use the subpoena power to bring in witnesses who would be able to testify and tell your side of the story. You understand you have a right to a hearing regarding this violation?
I do.
Very good. Mr. Gears, what's your sense as to where we're going to go next in this matter?
Your Honor, I believe Ms. Fitzgerald would like to resolve this matter by entering pleas. I explained to her what the allegations are. They appear to be old, and I think the more relevant part is that there's some period of time since this initially came up till now that she has some additional jail credit for. I believe she's willing to admit that and go forward, hopefully with the recommendation of this court here to be done. So,
all right. Is that correct, Ms. Fitzgerald?
Yes, I would like to be done. But last time I pled guilty because they told me the same thing, and that didn't happen. So I just want to be careful what I say.
No, I understand. And, that's why I advise you that full 5 years in the Department of Corrections, because, well, let's resolve that jail credit issue. I have 314 days here. Is that accurate?
No,
I was going to say, I did talk to Ms. Fitzgerald about that. There appears to be at least some additional days from 2023 in this most recent arrest. Is that correct, Ms. Fitzgerald? You've been currently there for 7 days.
Detained because I live in Newaygo County, so I get detained there and then wait for the ride.
And that was on this bench warrant.
Yes.
And you have no other time from April of 2023 until most recently.
Yes, I did 33 days last year.
On this offense?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember I told you how he told me I would get early release, and then that they didn't come get me for 33 days.
Okay.
And I asked them, and they said, yeah, no, they didn't. They came and got me the day that they were told to come get me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess what and it's fair enough to have a discussion about the penalty here before we go forward. And I do note, the recommendation essentially would be, if I do sentence you to 365 days in jail with the credit that you have, even the credit that I have here on the PSI of 314, with the way that our jail calculates jail credit and good time, I think that would essentially result in your release and probation being revoked as unsuccessful.
Your Honor?
Yeah.
Per the probation violation report, which I did not write because I just got this case yesterday. But I have, including her current jail when she got transferred here today, I have 351.
Okay. Yeah. No, even more so than 350.
And that does include the time from last year. That was the 34 days.
That sounds right.
I believe that's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And then that puts an exclamation point on it that right, if I go with the recommendation, a full year in jail, then and give 351 credit, then you are done. That you'll be discharged from the jail because of the good time, and this will be revoked. And my alternative here is to, is to impose a prison sentence. Which, I got to say, Mr. Fitzgerald, it's been a horrible performance on probation. Essentially, you did nothing of what I ordered to be done. However, what else you didn't do is you didn't get picked up for another, drinking and driving offense, which is my main concern when I have a OUIL case on probation is I don't want anyone to go out and drive and hurt someone else. It whatever else you screwed up, you didn't screw that part of it up. And I do believe in a case like this, and it has been a substantial length of time since you picked up the offense in 2022. We're more than 3 years out. I used to do 5 years back when I sentenced you with probation. However, the maximum probation period got shortened down to 3 years. So now my folks that are OUIL thirds only get 3 years, so that's kind of working in your benefit as well here. And you would stick with that recommendation at this point, Ms. Hamel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I would go with then. If I can enter into a Cobb's agreement at this point with Mr. Gears and Ms. Fitzgerald, that I would sentence per the recommendation to a year in the county jail with 351 credit and be done. And I can understand your hesitancy, Ms. Fitzgerald, because I had my alternative sentence down here as 2 to 5 in the Michigan Women's Prison, which would give you credit for the year you're done, but it would give you another year over in the east side of the state, which I'm sure is not what you're trying to accomplish here. So with that, are you willing to enter a guilty plea, Ms. Fitzgerald?
May I say something first?
You may.
First of all, I picked this charge up in 2020 and in an attempt to save somebody's life. My story has never been heard.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I
not
do
going to get
recall
into
the
that.
underlying.
I'm not going to get
Yes.
into that. But I would like to say that I have not drank since then, and I have not drove.
Ms. Fitzgerald, can we do the plea first, and then I'll be able to address that with your help as part of allocution. So everything you're about
you do
to
get a
say.
chance
Yeah.
before I impose
Yep.
the sentence, Ms. Fitzgerald, to
Yep.
to say your piece on this. So let's go through the requirements first, though. Ms. Fitzgerald, did anyone other than the stuff that I just talked about on the record, my assurance that I'm going to sentence with the recommendation here, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your guilty plea today?
No,
Anyone threatened you to get you to take a guilty plea today?
no.
So your decision to plead guilty is your own choice.
Well, wait. No, I'm being told that I'm going to be set free from probation if I plead a guilty plea.
Correct, and I did state that on the record, so that is part of the
Okay.
agreement. There's no secret agreement or behind the scenes agreement that you're relying
Okay,
on
because that
here.
has happened. So, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I understand, and you are correct to want to, as us judges and lawyers say, you're way better off if you get stuff in writing or on the record. That's the way to keep things on the up and up. So, what you're pleading guilty to today is essentially a failure to appear since some date back in 2023 to probation. Is that accurate, Ms. Fitzgerald?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, then I'll accept the guilty plea. I find it's voluntary and supported by an accurate factual basis. We can go directly to the sentencing portion. Mr. Gears, anything by way of elocution?
Just briefly, Your Honor, I did have a chance to meet with Ms. Fitzgerald this morning. She relays several concerns to me about the case being handled by prior attorneys and that. But more importantly, she believes that her story wasn't fully told in the PSI report. I think her reflection is that the PSI report was completed without her participation, not due to her own fault. And so I believe she is prepared to allocate and let the court know a little bit more, an explanation of what's gone on in this case since then. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Fitzgerald.
All right, Ms. Fitzgerald, you may proceed.
Well, the case, I got picked up in 2020 trying to save my cousin's life because she was seizing. She lied to the cops and told them that I was high on meth trying to kill her. They got a warrant for my blood. There was not a single drug in my blood because I don't do drugs. And so right then and there, that already was her lying. But they didn't take that into consideration. And I have lost everything because of this charge. When I got to the hospital, my cousin didn't have her seatbelt on. She didn't break a single bone. They said they don't know how many times we rolled or how either one of us were still alive. I had my seatbelt on. I broke all my cervical spine. I crushed my sternum, my sacrum, and broke all the ribs on my left-hand side. I was a mess. Okay. My cousin pulled the steering wheel. She was mad because I wouldn't engage in an argument with her because she was in and out of seizing. It always resorts back to the same argument. Who got more Christmas presents when we were in 4th grade? Okay. At this time we were in our 40s. I'm now in my 50s. I have lost my career. I have lost 4 cars, a home, my children, and my mother because of this charge. When I was trying to take this to trial so I could tell you my story, but my mother was sick, and Matt Berry came to the jail and told me that he talked to the prosecutor, and that the prosecutor said that if I would not take this to trial and that I would plead no contest, that I could get out of jail with time served that day. So I agreed because my mother was sick and needed me. I went into the courtroom in front of you. I pled no contest. Matt Berry walked out the front door. I tried to talk to you. You said, you need to ask your attorney. They took me back to jail. Nobody spoke to me for 2.5 months until my sentencing. My mother passed away 11 days before my sentencing. If I would have been given what I was told, my mother could very well be alive today. My 7-year-old little girl found her grandma dead on the floor. I have been through hell over this charge. My cousin numerous times has tried to tell me that she's sorry, that she will do anything she can to help me. I have that in writing. Nobody's bothered to look at that. While I was in jail, 2 different times, the PSI scheduled 2.5-hour allotments for us to have our PSI. Instead of coming to the jail and doing it like all of the other people that were getting PSIs, mine was through video with this person. Okay. The first 2 minutes that I was on a video with her, I told her I want to exercise my constitutional right and have my attorney present. She got mad. She's like, you want me to, her exact words were, you mean you want me to reschedule this 2.5-hour appointment? And I said, no, yes, I would like to exercise my constitutional right. Then the screen went blank. Deputy Latre was the deputy on duty both times for both meetings that I had scheduled. There was technical difficulties. Nobody has bothered to check IC Solutions to see if the monitors were up that day. Nobody bothered to do that. They just assumed I was guilty. She wrote, Miss Norman wrote in my PSI that I made myself unavailable for an interview. How do you make yourself unavailable when you're in jail? I didn't make myself unavailable. There was a technical difficulty that she didn't bother doing her job and trying to find out. I have been through hell. I have been through hell with this charge. I don't drink anymore. I don't even have the compulsion to drink. I don't see my cousin anymore. And I was driving back in 2023, I was trying to get a job down in Gun Lake at the hotel with my friend, and I got the job. And then she was like, "You have to drive, but you can't hang out. You can't start today. You have to go home." And I didn't want to drive. She's like, "You have to go. You have to drive my car home." And I didn't have anywhere to go, and it was raining, so I did drive, and I did get caught because her car was so bad. And but nothing else happened. I was just trying to drive home from a job interview. And I haven't even driven since that day. So I don't drink, I don't drive. And I honestly did not do what the police report said that I did. That is all a lie. And it all should have been dropped at probable cause. And I've been through hell because of it. So I just hope that you take that into consideration. I've lost my career. I've lost my kids. I've lost my mother. I've lost everything I've owned. I have been through hell. And all I want to do is go out and rebuild my life.
Well, the thing that encourages me, and the one thing that encourages me about the whole story of this case, is what I said right at the outset, is that what concerns me when a person has a charge like this is that you're gonna drink and drive. At some point in the future, and everything you've been through, a lot of people would turn to it and say, "Boy, uh, uh, I want to rebuild my life, but the way I'm going to do that is by going out and drinking again." How have you avoided not turning to drinking or drugs to deal with everything going on? Why not for you?
Honestly, I'm not even sure how to answer that question because I have done my share of AA, and honestly, when I never told my agent that I wouldn't do outpatient because I've been willfully on my own will going to Arbor Circle for 18 years. Okay, I grew up in an abusive home from my mother, and I've had trouble my whole life. Okay, so I have been willfully going to Arbor Circle for 18 years. I enjoy it. Arbor Circle is my happy place until the day I went there and they told you that I was only there 20 minutes. The whole thing was not true. And I've been dealing with them with Lara, trying to get that person in trouble for not documenting what was true. However, but the one thing I do have to say, I have taken a lot out of AA. If I go to AA now, it makes me want to drink. I don't go. But I have learned a lot from AA. And the two things that I learned, um, the one thing that I learned is, people, places, things. And my cousin was definitely a people, place, and thing. Okay. And I didn't want her around me that day, but I got drawn into this situation. Okay. So that's one thing. The second thing is that if, I've always had a higher power, but somehow, and I can't even explain it to you because it is kind of like magic. I have no compulsion. I don't have a compulsion to drink. I don't want to drink. Like thinking about drinking makes me sick. And I think it's because of the trauma that I've been through in this case.
Well, that's a very yeah, definitely. I mean, oddly, the way the law enforcement system, of course, is supposed to work by imposing, like you say, even though the consequences, at least to hear your side of the story were unfair and arbitrary, nonetheless, you recognize that, well, at the inception of it, it was because of this, at least perceived offense, and that's what got me here, and I don't want to do that again. Whatever it's working, Mr. Trill, my advice is, the fact that you stayed out of trouble, usually I get people in front of me because they got picked up again, sometimes for the same exact thing, and it's not the case with you. You've been under the radar, as it were, but to do that means you need to stay out of criminal trouble, and you've successfully done that, which says to me you can do it in the future. I don't think there's anything to be gained in your case, by additional imprisonment or probation time. So I realize you don't have the case doesn't sit well with you in terms of how it was started or resolved, but I can say, the reason I'm granting you termination of your probation at this time is because I don't deem that, where you sit today, based on your conduct, that you're a threat to other people out in the community. And that's my main job, up here, is to make sure the community's safe. I can't always explore all the nuances of every case. There simply isn't time to do it. But, you know, I'm always am interested in how people manage to make huge changes, and you have made significant changes in your life. I think that the lack of contact with the cousin who got you into trouble here, a very wise choice, and you've made a geographic change of location up to Newaygo County. And I guess my advice to you going forward is whatever you've been doing, keep doing it because it's working. And absolutely, I can say for you, the absolute worst thing that could happen in your life would be to pick up another OWI charge. It's one of the most common charges that I see in court, and I'm sure that that would be true for the judge up in Newaygo as well. And you just don't want another one because the way the system works is then that judge is going to say, well, she's had her time in jail, or the only thing to do is to send her to prison. And I can tell you, with everything you've been through, the only thing that would be worse would be a year of confinement in the Michigan Women's Prison. There you would find an even worse situation than anything you've dealt with over the last 3 years. So I guess my advice is, keep doing what you've been doing to stay sober. The sentence of the court will be 365 days with credit for 351 days served, and I will revoke probation at this time. So you're done with this case. Like I say, I understand it's been a horribly negative experience in your life, Miss Fitzgerald, but I do want you to take away the positives that, whatever you've done on the flip side, it's kept you out of trouble and out of court and out of trouble with the law. Keep doing that, and um, build on those positive things that you have learned, like you said you're able to do with the AA experience. You did a good job of taking away the positives from your time at AA meetings and things like that. So keep on building on those positives and stay out of trouble. And I wish you the best going forward. It is a final judgment today, so you can't appeal it, Ms. Fitzgerald. Your appeal would be by leave to the Michigan Court of Appeals. I will appoint a lawyer to represent you on appeal. I don't, given all your negative experiences with the case, it may be something you want to pursue. They have green forms there at the jail. That's to ask me to appoint an appeals lawyer to review the case at no charge. If you do want to do that, you do need to fill out that green form and return it to me within the next 42 days, or I'd have to deny your request. And that's entirely your choice, Ms. Fitzgerald. If you want an attorney, they would review this, lock, stock, and barrel. They may say, because of the time elapsed, et cetera, and the deal resolved at the end, that there's nothing to appeal in a legal sense, but at least then you've got a legal opinion that says that going forward. So I wish you, the best, and that you're able to stay out of court and, enjoy the positive things that still are present in your life, Ms. Fitzgerald.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are here in the matters of Lita Borghese versus Kenzie Williams and Kenzie Williams versus Lita Borghese. Case numbers 25-05863PH and 25-05737PH. This hearing is being recorded on Zoom and live streamed on YouTube.
And this matter comes before the court on Ms. Borghese's motion to appeal my denial of her request for a personal protective order, and also her motion to terminate a protective order that I granted in favor of Miss Williams. Additionally, I did receive an order to show cause on an alleged violation. That isn't technically before the court today, so I can arraign that if we do keep the PPO in place. Of course, if I terminate the PPO, the violation becomes a sort of a moot point after that. So let's take these items, I guess, one at a time. And I think the one that makes most sense is to take first Ms. Borghese's appeal of my order that I granted favoring Kenzie Williams. In that case, Ms. Williams has to sustain at least 2 incidents that would make her feel threatened or harassed in order to sustain the order. So I can take some testimony from you at this time. Ms. Williams, if you'd raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Very good. And Ms. Williams, would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Kenzie Williams, KINSEYWILLIAMS.
Very good. And my understanding, Ms. Williams, is you live at 39 Grand Street in Casnovia, and that is that direct neighbors to Ms. Borghese?
Yes.
Okay, so she is adjacent to you as your next door neighbor. One of the well, there are several allegations here.
Yes.
One is that you observed Ms. Borghese on or about June 24th, 2025, taking pictures of your family while you were in the fenced-in backyard. And you say there Lita was seen by the fence taking pictures of us. Did you see her by the fence taking pictures of you?
I did.
And what was she using as a camera?
Her phone.
Okay. And is this fence, is it a privacy fence or what kind of fence is it?
Yes, privacy.
Okay. And so in order to see through that or take a picture through it, how'd she do it?
She had to raise her arms or her arm with the phone.
Okay, over the top of the fence and then she was photographing down into the yard?
Um, yeah, yeah.
Okay. And can you tell if she's doing photos or videos or do you know?
Unsure. I was assuming photos, but possibly a video.
Okay. And you say your kids were with you at the time. How old are the kids?
6 and 7,
Okay, boys or girls?
both girls.
Two girls. And they're what are they doing in the backyard at the time this is all occurring?
Um, Playing, jumping on the trampoline. Um, at that time, my niece was here with her daughter as well. So they were both playing with her on the trampoline.
And how old is your niece's daughter?
She's 2. She'll be 3 actually here in a couple days.
Okay. All right. Um, you do mention making that Miss Borghese, you believe, made some police reports on your family. I normally do not count those as uh, harassing or threatening, mainly because, you know, I trust if the police do get involved, well, they're going to come out and investigate, but, you know, they're, you know, not going to typically be threatening to you. You know, they're going to be kind of objective or neutral in their investigation. Is there some reason I should think of these police reports differently?
Yes, because Lita, called the police a couple years ago when my daughters were very young and said that one of my daughters was missing. And that was one of the police calls that was just, I found very, very strange to even do such a thing. Even though my daughter was inside at the time, she claimed that we had been outside calling her name, which was not true. And so that's why I feel that when she's falsely reporting to the police on matters that are like extremely serious, I find that harassing.
Okay, and the police come and interact with you after she makes these reports? I mean, can you, what happens next?
Um, they said that the time that she called for my daughter missing, um, they just came over and asked where my daughter was. So I brought her out. She had been inside, and so I brought her out. They seen her. They basically just asked me where my daughter had been, and I explained that she was inside even when Lita had called the police. And that's all they really wanted to know was where my daughter was. And then
Okay.
spoke with Lita.
Have there been other occasions when the police came out and interviewed or met with you because of Mrs. Borghese's calls?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. When was the most recent one?
That would have been very recent.
After the PPO?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
How
Le-
about the most recent one before I signed the PPO?
um, that would have been for my daughter's father. He also lives here. They came because she said that he was harassing her, and so they came and spoke with him, but I didn't speak with them that time.
Okay, and that one involved some interaction between your daughter's dad and Miss Borghese, not your kids, it sounds like.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Um, what about and when she's taking the photos, you saw her actually taking the photos?
Yes, the past two previous times that I noted, yes, I saw her with her phone in her hand.
And
Oh,
have you ever found out what she does with the photos? Does she put them online? Does she show them to the police? Can you tell what happens to them after she takes them?
no.
Okay. All right. But your concern is because they're your kids
Yes.
and they're in the private area of your backyard, that there's going to be some improper use made of those.
Yes.
Okay, I got that. How about this next incident here? Is the cat, the kitten. What happened in that case?
Um, the cat, she was missing for almost a week.
When did that occur? About?
It would have been in, I believe, I don't really remember the exact day. I think it was over a couple years ago.
Okay, all right. So maybe it is 2023 or somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, I believe it was either March or April. I have the
Okay.
date written down. I don't know the exact date. I just know
Okay.
that when we found her in the backyard, um, deceased, she was stuck to a flower pot, which
Was she frozen to it, or well, how did she get stuck to it?
I have no idea. We had been looking for her. Uh, there was a baseball game happening actually the day before we found her. So we were out there. There was people out there. We asked, if anybody had seen a cat around, and everybody said no, we haven't seen anything. And then the next day, we went back out again to look, and my boyfriend actually walked back there and found her placed in these, like, a decorative rock area that is directly behind Lita's fence. And she had already been gone for at least a couple days because her eyes were sunken in, and she had maggots and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So
And you think that, um, why do you think that Lita killed the cat?
because she um had I know that she does not like cats. Um, just the way that she yells at them when they're outside and or near her yard. Um, and just it was odd to me that she was laying with a flower pot too, because I know that Lita has a lot of flowers in her yard in pots that are the same kind of pots that she uses for her flowers. And so
Are they the same, like I'm picturing a red, like a terracotta pot?
yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. And was the kitten in the pot? Did it had been hit with the pot? Could you tell what happened to it?
Um, it seemed like the pot had been um, used to hurt her. Yes.
Okay. All right. And obviously you didn't see her doing anything to the kitten.
True. Yes, I did not see her. But she was outside the night before at around um 12 o'clock in the morning. Um, I did see her out there, not sure what she was doing or what exactly she was doing. But then the next day, my cat's laying in these rocks underneath the trees right behind her fence. And I kind of just figured that she had something to do with it because I don't know who else would have placed her there in that manner.
And would she have had to reach over the fence? What kind of fence is it in that area?
Her fence actually opens up in the back. It's a
Okay,
vinyl white fence and it has a gate that opens.
okay. So I mean, in order to place a cat there, she'd have to open up that gate and go out the back gate.
Either that or she could have just walked out of her garage and walked straight back and then placed her back there. But yeah, that's what I'm assuming is that she either opened the gate or had to walk along her fence to get back to where it was, which is it's not a far walk. I mean,
Okay. And did you make any sort of police report regarding the cat?
I did not because I wasn't sure what happened and I wanted to figure out what had happened to her. I really wasn't um, thinking clearly because I was just so shocked to find her like that.
Okay. And you have other cats, it sounds like?
I do.
How many?
3.
Okay. And have you ever seen Miss Borghese threaten or harm any of the other cats?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, tell me about that. What happened?
Um, seen one of my cats out and the in front of the sidewalk in between her house, and the, I guess, villages right of way on the sidewalk. And she came out yelling at the cat to get out of her yard. And I said, it's not in your yard. It was on the sidewalk. And she continued to yell at me and swear at me and say to keep my cats out of her yard. And I told her, I don't think they're going in your yard. I don't think they want anything to do with your yard. You have 2 big dogs. Why would they want to go in your yard? So
Did she at that time threaten to hurt the cats?
at that time, all she said was to keep them out of her yard. Um, but there was a time before that when, because I have cameras, so I can see, everything that's going on outside now. And there was a cat near her yard in the street. I don't know if it was mine or if it was a neighbor's cat because the neighbors also have cats.
Mm-hmm.
She came out with looked like some type of a can and acted like she was going to kind of like hit the cat with the can. She walked towards the cat and like kind of made a gesture with the can like she wanted to hit the cat.
Okay. Didn't actually hit it, but she made a gesture like she might hit it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other, you said you took your cat, the kitten, to a veterinarian or for a necropsy. Who
Yeah.
did that?
I took the cat.
Okay. To a vet?
No, the vets around here didn't offer necropsies. So I actually had to drive to the Michigan State University in Lansing to have it done. I had to basically surrender her body. I couldn't get her back after that. So
Okay. And you said they gave you, did they give you a written report?
they did.
Okay. And that written report indicated that there was blunt force trauma?
Yes. Yep.
It didn't say the kitten was killed by a flower pot, but that it was hit by something heavy in blood.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else regarding cats? I think there's an incident in here that you said she hopes her dogs maul the cat's faces off. When
Yes.
did that happen?
That happened when she called the police saying that my cats were digging up her garden. And I asked, did she have proof that they were in her yard? And they said that she had pictures, but I asked, were they pictures of my cats specifically? And they wouldn't tell me. And
When you say they, are there more people involved than just Miss Borghese?
the police.
Oh, the police there. Okay.
So the animal control officer that came to my house.
Okay.
So the officer told me that there's not much they can do. It's a cat. There's not really ordinances for cats and stuff like that. So they left. And then after that incident, she was outside and said, if I catch your cats in my yard, I hope my dog mauls their faces off. And then so I'm like, I don't think they're in your yard. I really don't.
And how long ago was that interaction with Miss Borghese?
At least a couple months ago, when the animal control officer came, it was after that.
Okay. So it was after you
And-
found the dead kitten, but
it was
before you filed this PPO.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Sounds like it was after the dead kitten, but before you filed the PPO.
Yes, it was before.
Okay.
The
And before the dead kitten too, or just the PPO?
Just the PPO. It was actually very recent that she said that.
Okay. All right. I think I understand it. And how about the threatening the cats with a can? When did you observe that?
That was not too long after I found my cat dead.
Okay. Okay.
And that's when it made me think that she had something to do with it. Well, I thought she had something to do with it anyway, just because I know she doesn't like cats.
Okay. All right. Anything else in terms of threatening or harassing behavior that I haven't asked you about that happened before you requested the PPO?
Yes. And this has more to do with my children and the picture taking. So this would have been, I believe, last year. We had to, me and my boyfriend, our fence was up at that time. And I think it was either the year before, Lita had ran into our fence with a big, like kind of pagoda like machine. I don't know what they're called. It's like has a big bucket scoop on it. And so we ended up having to fix the 2 panels that were on there. We had to take them down. And at that time, my daughter was in the backyard and she saw Lita taking pictures of her, and she came inside to tell me. And so I walked out there to see if she was out there. And she was standing near her garage and her house. There's like a little corner right there that she used to hide and try and take pictures, which because I seen her standing there at that time. And I told her, please don't take pictures of my children. And that was really when the whole pictures were starting to be like a concern for me, because I know that that we had the panels down so she could see right into our yard. But it's such a strange thing to want to take pictures of kids in their yard. I just don't see why you would want to do that or what you would need them for. And so that was one time. And then another time, both of my daughters were out there and they came inside to tell me that she was next to the fence. This was probably Um, in the beginning of this summer, I want to say June at some point in June,
Okay,
they came, my daughters came inside to tell me that she was next to the fence with her phone, taking pictures of them. So I went outside again and I said, I think it must be a crime to take pictures of children, especially when you have a privacy fence. So I told her that if this continued, that I would contact the police because this is there's no reason for it.
okay, all right, and, oh, when she hit the fence with Kubota, the backhoe, did you ever ask her to pay for the thing that she damaged or anything of that nature?
I didn't specifically, but uh eventually it just stayed broken. My boyfriend just left it that way. I don't know why. But he, I guess, just didn't
Didn't fix it. You
have
said at
time.
one time though the panels were down. Was it because they got hit?
Um, well, for what?
Were the panels down because the fence got hit with the
Yeah.
backloader? Okay.
Well,
All
and
right.
we're painting it too.
I see. Okay. And that point you painted it, stained it, he put it back up using the same fence that had been hit and it just stayed up.
No, she actually, Lita had called some company. They came out, they put the panels up, they put new panels up.
Okay, so she did. Is it you own the fence?
No, it's not my fence. My boyfriend paid for it.
Oh, I see. Okay. But yeah, so it's on your property.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And Lita, in that case, it sounds like she recognized that the backhoe had done the damage and that she was responsible to fix it.
Um, not until it had been almost, I think, a year later, she decided to fix it because he went out there saying, you broke my fence, and they exchanged words, and then it was a couple days after that that the people that she had called came and asked, did we want new panels? And so that was
Okay, so I mean, there were words between your boyfriend and her, and then she did fix it.
yes, but not
Okay,
until he had said something about her fixing it.
okay, all right, very good. Ms. Borghese, do you have any questions for Ms. Williams?
Your Honor, good afternoon. But everything that there are bits and pieces, very few, but she's obviously a great storyteller. I found it somewhat amusing, especially this bit about the fence, and
Well,
extremely.
I don't argue the case now. I'll give you a chance to do that at the conclusion. If you have some questions for her, well, she's a sworn witness, and then she'll get the same opportunity when I swear you in to ask you the questions. And, basically it's getting some testimony out there so I can have facts to decide the case on. Do you have any specific questions about those incidents she testified to, for her?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, then thank you, Ms. Williams. You may step down from the witness stand. Now, Ms. Borghese, it's your turn. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. And uh, Ms. Borghese, I'm going to take you through. This is your motion to terminate the PPO. The first incident that Ms. Williams testified about was this taking pictures, and she described you holding your camera over the top of the fence in order to get pictures of uh, kids or all the people in the backyard. I mean, first of all, did you take pictures?
I've been told by the sheriffs, I mean, years ago, they told me, put up cameras out front. Well, I didn't have the money to, but I've had to spend so much money over the years trying to do what the sheriffs tell me to do. Most recently, as the girls are growing up, I have watched them grow since they were infants because they have been outside. This is long before the fence even went up. The fence is 6 foot tall. I'm 5'5". The only time I have ever held my phone at the fence was just recently, and it was video or voice recording because the sheriffs didn't believe, they said they believed, but they said in order to do anything, I had to prove because my cameras didn't record sound. So I put it up there and I have it recorded and I have it ready for you if I didn't need my phone to hear you.
Yeah, well, you can tell me what it recorded. So you didn't have it recording a picture at the time?
Oh, no, Your Honor, just voice.
Okay, and where did you place it to get the voice recording?
My fence is shortly or a little bit shorter than their wood fence. I have a chain link
Okay.
and I kind of was holding it in between because again, their fence is 6 foot tall.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd have to really stand up on your tiptoes or whatever if you wanted to go over the fence like she said you have. And what you're saying is, yeah, you were there with a phone, but your purpose was to record the audio only.
Correct. And there'd be no way for me to take a picture anyhow when I'm holding the phone and balancing. I'm not that good.
Okay, and so the audio you took, the purpose of taking that was to show the volume and noise, or what if the girl, why were you recording audio?
Um, Due to the fact that Kinsey tells her children to scream at my dogs, to irritate my dogs. There's been kazoos. There's the constant screaming. They have friends over and she tells them, louder, scream louder. Now they're calling my dog the big bad wolf. Oh no, oh no. And as soon as I take them in, they stop. Before my dogs go out, it's quiet. This particular video, or not video, recording, you can hear Kinsey and Arlo, I assume, sitting on their back deck because once again, I wasn't recording video, just sound, but you can hear him talking to her. And, I have a sleeping disorder. I go basically from 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. And she's talking to him and saying, yeah, that's how I know she's outside. I know when she wakes up. And I thought, I didn't even hear that at the time until I played this recording back recently. But then she's saying that I'm on my side, I'm hiding. I never even moved. I just stayed there and recorded this audio. And the girls are screaming, and Kinsey gets louder. I can hear her coming towards me and saying, oh, I'm a pedophile and stop taking pictures. And I know the girls' voice, after 6 years, I know their voices.
Okay.
Lila, her biological daughter, said, yeah, that bitch. And all summer, they're now using the F word at me. If I walk out front, they scream, Mom, lead us outside. And they do that in the backyard and they follow me. Kinsey and the girls, they do what their mother tells them to do. And she tells them to irritate my dogs. And then she calls and complains about my dogs barking. So as far as taking pictures, I've never taken pictures of those children unless they are with Kinsey. Kinsey and Arlo, I take pictures of them when they're harming my property. And believe you me, they always have a child with them.
Okay, and when they're tell me about that when they're harming your property. What are they doing?
What are they not doing is the question. It started fence that is actually not on their property. I have previous pictures of what was the original property line. They did not, Arlo has thrown my lawnmower into my front tree. Officers couldn't even get it down without harming the tree. They've thrown away a lawn chair. I called the garbage company to say, did you? Because it was on my property. Yeah, we picked it up because it was next to his garbage can. So that was gone. They overwater. I mean, they literally specifically put their sprinkler next to the fence and water my flowers all night long. I take great pride in my yard and my flowers, and everybody in this village knows it. 16 years. They constantly are killing my yard. She goes out front to my tree. She breaks the branches. I had twinkle lights in it for the last 4 years, 4 at a time. She'd pull them down, break them. I quit putting them up. I didn't put them up last year, and I didn't put them up this year. They're $20 for 2, and I put 4 up. And for 4 years, she broke them. One of them is still laying on the ground because I refused to touch it. I'm just so tired of them harming everything I do to make my house my home. I'm sorry she can't grow anything but weeds. But in between this fence and my house is maybe 2.5 feet now. They put that up immediately after I sited my home. As far as the girl being in the house, I have no idea what in the heck that story came from. But
Okay, you didn't ever call the police to report one of their daughters missing.
no, I can tell you an incident, which I'm sure she's gotten this story from to her whatever. I was out front. I had sited my house. Arlo had put up the fence. They now decided to side their house. Great, because it looked awful before it was a condemned home. But the girls were so little and they're playing in the street, and not my business, but if I see something, I'm going to say something. So I'm out there. Arlo's on my side of his house, putting up siding. I know Kinsey and her mother were inside, and the 2 little girls are hand in hand on the sidewalk, walking towards Main Street. Now, I am the 4th house down from Main Street. Main Street takes on the highway traffic from 37. And, in the afternoon, this was around that time. And I'm watching those little girls and I'm waiting for Kinsey or her mother or someone to notice those girls are missing. They almost got to the stop sign. They're just going da da da, they're just little girls hand in hand, all by themselves. I'm still gardening. I'm seeing this. Arlo's still here. The women are in the house. As much as I didn't want to talk to the man, because I haven't said a word to these people in 2.5 years. But I said, and this was before that though. I said, Arlo, I said, your daughters are almost to Main Street and they're just starting to almost turn that corner. And he just kind of kept doing what he was doing. And then he kind of sauntered around the front into the house, I assume, to ask Kinsey, da da da. He came back out, started working back on the siding. Kinsey finally came out and went after the girls. By this time, they had turned the corner. I didn't call anybody. It's not my place. And I sure as heck wouldn't have called the sheriff. I would have called CPS. That is the only time that I was concerned and talked to them even about their children. That was the only time. And I think I was responsible. I used to be a mother, you know. If for starters, I would know where my two little girls, 2 and 3-year-olds, were. I didn't call anybody. I didn't call the sheriff. I didn't call anybody. I just merely told Arlo, you best go after the girls. He
All
didn't
right.
even.
What about the incident about the kitten? Do you know anything about that?
As far as this cat, I am constantly in my kitchen. I didn't even know she had a cat. Okay. Obviously, she was a good pet parent at that time, except for, as she said, it must have been missing. Well, you know, if you were a good pet parent, you'd know where your cat is. I didn't even know she had a cat, but I cook and I am in my kitchen window all the time. And I see straight out to the ball field over my fence. I can see the top of the rock. I can see the bleachers, the cars, the parking lot, and sometimes the game. But, you know, I see them once they hit the corner of their fence and my fence in the parking lot. And if they're playing right behind my fence, which they used to have the girls do again, annoy my dog. One day, I just happened to be looking. My apologies. I'm computer illiterate, so I just do the best I can.
All right. You were talking about the interaction between cats and dogs, I think.
Yeah, and actually, not so much cats and dogs. I didn't even know she had a cat. I was in the kitchen again, looking out at, you know, the games and whatnot, doing dishes, cooking, whatever. And I happened to see Kinsey go around the corner of the fence. And I thought, what is she doing? You know, because they used to have the girls play there to irritate my dog. So I assumed she was up to something. So I continued on and I'm just watching. She goes back into her yard. All of a sudden, both of them, Arlo and her, come over to what looks like they're looking at the rock. She looks like she's crying and goes back towards the house. He walks back. He comes back with a shovel and picks something up. And I thought, okay, you know, carries it or whatever, the shovel over to his yard. Not paying much attention. I really don't care what those people do as long as they leave me alone. But I do catch out of my peripheral that he's digging a hole. And I thought, what in the heck? And he buried something immediately. Okay, so this business about whatever, if she dug it up and took it to Lansing, you know, that's something I did not see. But I saw them over there. I saw her crying. I saw him go get something. I saw him dig a hole. And before he finished, I was done and I left because I had no idea what they were doing. To blame
You didn't hurt the kitten.
I didn't even know she had one.
Okay.
And why would I? I was a vet.
All right. What about threatening the cats by, gesturing with a can?
No, I don't even know what kind of can she'd even be talking about. I've never gone out other than to my porch when those cats are sitting on the sidewalk, digging up my bulbs or peeing on my wood in my driveway. You know how many pictures I have of those cats in my yard? How they want to come here. They know I have dogs. One of the orange one, that is noticeable and pretty much lives here, along with the two gray ones. And she used to have two orange and two gray just recently after I started being accused of killing a cat. But they go in my garage. They've gone into my back this spring. They have peed and wrecked my greenhouse. I had to buy another one. They're out front. The orange ones actually sat on top of my fountain, just inches away from my window. My dog's barking. The cat's still just sitting there looking in my window. They are not afraid because they know my dogs can't get them. Over the street, they go. If they're not living at my house, they go across the street. And
you're saying that the cats, that you were talking about, that you think that Miss Williams just got those recently after this kitten incident happened.
I only noticed these 4 cats this year. Last year, I broke my leg and I was pretty much inside until, I'm going to say, even February of this year, from August of last year. The kid across the street, the man across the street, in his 30s, I call him a kid. So sweet that family is. They helped me every day because I couldn't get out of my house. So this is from August of last year until February. This year, as far as, that's what I'm saying, is I didn't even know she had 4 cats. He told me.
Have you made any animal control reports about the cats?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, and what's come of those?
They tell me they won't do anything because they're cats. I've contacted the village. I have sent all these pictures of the cats being loose because it's a village ordinance that they not be. I have sent, I don't know how many pictures to them. They take them, they file them, and they're like, you're going to have to call the sheriff to get rid of them. I call the sheriff doesn't want to do anything. After several calls trying to get somebody, because they drive my dogs nuts. I mean, I have a shepherd and a husky. Of course, they're going to go nuts at the windows.
Supposedly they're natural enemies of each other. Have you threatened to have your dogs maul the faces off the cats?
Whoever thought of that is gross and mentally ill. That is, again, I was a veterinarian. And as far as cats and dogs, cats actually get the first scratch at the eyes. Why would I put my dogs in danger? When I know those cats are in my backyard, I will not let my girls out because they are everywhere all the time. They're in my garage. But no, I have never threatened the animals. I've never gone after any of them. And why would I go to the right of way and yell and threaten at a cat that was across the street? I have wanted to get a spray bottle of water and spray them, but I know better than to do anything. I will open my door and go, shh, but I don't come off my porch. But they're so close to me, they run to the fence line. They don't even go home. I think those cats are thirsty. That's why they come over here. And I've even thought I've wanted to actually, because they're here so much, I figure they're looking for food and they're drinking out of my fountain. I've wanted to put food out and I thought, no, that will only make them come here more. But my heart wanted to. Don't tell me I've done anything to those cats. I may think of doing something good and spray them, but I've never followed through. I didn't even know she had a cat or kitten, whatever. I did see what I told you. I have several
That was
pictures.
your only contact that you had. Any knowledge that you had of the incident she described regarding the kitten was seeing the aftermath where the kitten was moved with a shovel from behind your yard into their yard to be buried, it looked like to you.
Correct. And again, I didn't even know that's what they were moving.
Sure.
And
Yeah, you
until
saw something going on, but you couldn't tell at the time.
all of a sudden I'm being screamed at outside, "You cat killer!" And I'm like, "What?" So yeah, no, I have no
Okay.
idea.
Miss Williams, do you have any questions for Miss Borghese?
I do.
Go ahead.
Oh boy, where do I start? So as far as the cat goes, she says that I owned 4 cats, 2 gray and 2 orange before. Never have I owned 4 cats at once.
Okay, well, and like I told Miss Borghese, don't make it so much in an argument, but if you have a question
Yeah.
for
So,
her about the number of cats, then go
yeah,
ahead and make that up and ask her.
question, how did you know that I owned cats before? If you're saying that you didn't know, how did you know before?
Before what?
How did you know that I owned cats before?
Oh,
Because
as
we had my cats for a year now. The cats that I had prior, you're saying you didn't know I owned cats. How did you know I owned cats before?
two questions there, but before this kitten supposedly died, I had no idea what you had other than Bear, your dog. Again, I broke my leg in August, as you well know, and the kids across the street, Nick and Lindsay, lived there with 3 children, but Nick helped me every day. He'd come across the street. I I don't know, we were talking or something, and I said, "Because you were screaming at me that I was a cat killer." And I said, "I didn't even know I mean, it just came up one day." Again, I had a hospital bed, couldn't get out of my living room from August until probably Christmas. I finally started. But Nick said, because I told him, I said, "I didn't even know she had a cat. How could I kill something I didn't know? And why would I?" He said, "Well, she's got 4 cats now. Did you know?" I said, "You're kidding me." He said, "Yeah, she's had them all year." So whatever you had before you started accusing me of being a cat killer, had no idea you had any cats. I only knew you had Bear. After, yes, this past year, when I've started moving again since about January, I kind of was looking, why are my dogs barking? And I wind up having pictures of all 4 cats. Now, there's been cat fights in my backyard. Maybe you lost another one and you only have 3 now. But I have verbal, that's the only way I knew from Nick, is that you had 4 cats.
Any other questions, Miss Williams?
No.
Okay, all right then. Thank you, Ms. Borghese. You may step down from the witness stand at this time. All right, this is the motion to terminate Miss Williams' order. And then I'll take up the question of Miss Borghese's order as well. The main incidents supporting the order here were, at least as far as I was concerned, like I say, police reports I normally don't concern myself with, although in this case, the missing child report, Ms. Borghese claims she didn't call the police, but rather just told the boyfriend and that he ultimately did go and get the kids during, the one incident she recalls being concerned about the whereabouts of the children. The second incident here is the alleged recording by the phone. Miss Williams indicates that there were photographs taken of her and her husband and children, and then also of videos of the children in the backyard, although she acknowledges that she hasn't seen those videos or photographs, nor seen them posted on Facebook, etc. There's no indication of how, if the photos are taken, of what they're being used for. Ms. Borghese testified today that she was not taking photos with the phone over the fence, but rather recording the level of noise and what the kids were saying on the other side of the fence. So that one, again, I cannot make a conclusion. I weigh the evidence as about equal on both sides. There is a different perception, at least, as to what's going on. However, without any, misused or inappropriate photographs that are taken of the kids or invading that privacy, I don't really have enough to go on to say, who's telling me the truth. Ms. Borghese indicates she could play the audio. I haven't heard that, but I, don't have any reason to doubt that there's audio of because she said she was trying to record, whatever was being said in the yard and the door next to her. But her purpose in doing that was to make a police report or gather evidence to use in the police report of what she was hearing through the fence. The third incident here cited is the killing of the kitten. I don't have any doubt that a kitten was found dead and potentially killed by blunt force trauma. Description by Miss Williams is that the cat on top of that was found near a flower pot of the type that's used by Miss Borghese. However, I will note that, of course, that is a very common type of flower pot. There are many of them out there. And of course, no one saw the kitten being killed or the manner of death other than that it was blunt force trauma. It could have simply been, a i.e. the cat might not have been killed by the flower pot. The cat could have been hit with a stick or a rock or something like that. And of course, it didn't have to be by Miss Borghese. The kitten was found behind her house, but it didn't have a note on it saying, you better watch it, or I hate cats, or anything like that. And Miss Borghese has testified today unequivocally and wisely, because it would be a criminal offense, of course, to kill someone else's pet, that she didn't have anything to do with killing the cat, and further that, she was involved in the past providing veterinary services, and that no matter how much she might dislike a particular cat's activities, that's just simply not in her to kill an animal in that violent a manner. And I will take note, there weren't any other other than the can gesture towards cats testified to. Again, that I don't have video or anything of that nature, so it's just one word against the other. I can't find for certain that occurred, the threatening of the cats or the threat to have the dogs maul the cats' faces off, which certainly would be threatening or harassing conduct with regard to someone else's pet. I can't find for certain that those words were used. And as Ms. Borghese did testify, she, wouldn't say something like that because of her past caring for animals. That wouldn't be something she would say. And I will note, in her writings and testimony today, in both parties, neither of them have used foul or obscene language. So, it would at least be out of character for what I'm observing of the witnesses to say something along those lines. So there are repeated additional police calls, but as I said, those don't normally rise to the level of a protective order. So in conclusion, I cannot find that there are two incidents that occurred by a preponderance of the evidence here in order to support this protective order, and the protective order favoring Miss Williams will be terminated at this time. I am going to move next, and because of that, that will also result in a I won't need to hear the alleged order to show cause a violation, since I've terminated the protective order. The violation is what we call moot, or not properly before the court at this time. I am going to move next to Miss Borghese's request for a protective order. Her petition, and she appealed that. At this time, I have heard extensive testimony and quite a bit about what was going on. I guess I do have at least one more question for Miss Borghese here. You're saying the girls you believe are intentionally aggravating your dogs. Now, you know what I've heard there is, well, they're loud, they blow on kazoos, things of that nature. I have to say, I raised a bunch of kids myself. That sounds like normal 6 and 7-year-old behavior. What are they doing that specifically is designed or intended to irritate your dogs, if you can tell?
Well, typically, it's only when Kinsey knows I'm awake, and the girls, my dogs, go outside, and if the girls are home, her girls are home, which was all summer, and when they now come home from school, they go out there, they're kids, they're gonna make noise, they're going to have fun with their friends. That's all well and fine. Again, I was a mother too. I understand. But Kinsey will go out there and tell them to scream, literally scream. Sometimes it's just a scream. Other times they're like, get the dog. And I don't know. They'll just go on. And now it's the big bad wolf, and the kazoos lasted 2 days, and they were up and down the fence. They run my large dog up and down the fence to the point I have to bring her in because she's breathing so hard. My 2.5-year-old dog, the husky, I have to beg her to go outside to go potty because of the screams. She's so afraid of this because she doesn't know what it is. She can't see. Now, Ivy, my large one, she used to play with Bear. They would go up and down the fence, but for the last few years, she doesn't allow that any longer. Why, I don't know. She puts Bear out front. He's oh gosh, I can't even think, a Pomeranian, and he and Ivy are the same age. So, of course, they're playing. They live right next to each other, except now he's being kept away from playing. The girls are out there screaming, calling her names. The little one doesn't bark, just my Ivy, and they terrorize her. And over the
You say
years,
they're calling your names, you mean the big bad wolf or other stuff?
oh, other stuff, because like I said, these girls, I've had Ivy 5 years. Okay. I adopted her from the Humane Society. And as those girls have been growing up, they are getting more and more aggressive. So it was little things. But see, it'd be okay if it was just once in a while. Kids do that. It is every single day, 365. Something is happening with Kinsey, Arlo, or the girls, aggravating, harassing, stalking. They will go from the front yard to the backyard. If they're bothering me in the back, I come work out front. If I'm working out front and they're out there, because Kinsey will move the girls out there, Arlo will come out, I go back to the bed. I'm just so tired of it. I can't. That's why I've brought this case to the court for her and Arlo. 6 years is enough. I'm going to be 59. I've been here 16 years. I do not need 30-year-olds ruining my property, my life, my mental health, and my dogs. I worry every day about what they've thrown over the fence today because they throw mice, they throw twigs. She's even thrown poo. I just can't take it anymore.
Are you talking about the high fence, Miss Borghese, the privacy fence?
Yes, my fence is 6 foot, but it's black chain link. And theirs is wood and it's, it just is a little bit higher than mine.
And to clarify, does that privacy fence run the length of the property, front yard and backyard, or just the backyard?
No, he's got all the way from the backyard solid up until he gets to the front corner of my house. And then he's got a picket, 3 foot or whatever is required. I
And
have,
your dogs, do they have access along the whole length of the privacy fence, or are they just inside the chain link portion?
I have a white privacy fence across the back. I do have a gate. And then both sides up to both corners of my house is 5 foot on one side, 6 foot on the other, chain link fence. The only reason why I have chain link on their side is because Arlo took down the 2 panels. I didn't even know they were gone. My Ivy ran over there and he came after us with a live chainsaw. I'm trying to get Ivy back and she's jumping at him and I could have sworn he was going to cut her. I finally got her back. I immediately called my fence company and had that put up. As far as the panels go, yes, I did hit those. I was excavating my backyard. And I, again, called the fence company that next day. And as I did it, Arlo come out, was taking pictures. And I yelled at him from the tractor, don't worry about it. I know I did it. I will fix it. But I didn't even break them down. I just damaged them. But they came the next day and put up 2 more panels. He then took them down. My dog went through. So I got that a little backwards, but
Okay, and you didn't use the time when the fence panels were down to film the girls playing in the backyard?
I'm computer illiterate. I didn't even start taking pictures and videos until 2 years ago. Now, I excavated 4 years ago.
Okay, so this was quite old that occurred.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let me when you go to the front yard, are your dogs only in your backyard or can they go in the front yard as well?
No, they're completely fenced in the backyard. And I used to bring the girls out on chains in front of my, through my garage to lay in the driveway, totally cut off from any visual unless you're walking by. But I can't even do that anymore because of Kinsey going by and with her dog standing out there. I mean, it's just constant aggravation.
And so when you're saying the girls will move or someone will move to irritate you in the front yard, what does that look like? If I get it that you're saying they're getting your dog all worked up in the backyard. If you move to the front yard, do the girls move too? What is it? What happens?
They all do. They all do.
Okay,
And
parents and girls.
yes.
And when they're out there in the front yard, are they saying stuff or are they what are they doing?
Well, pretty much the girls are playing and they do play with the 3 children across the street and it's just normal noise. But if that's not happening and Kinsey's bored, I guess, she will have them. I have a large picture window in the front of my house and I have an inside porch, which is all glass. I leave my door open but locked. And of course, they can't see out the other window because the fence is right there. So those are the 2 front areas that they look. They are loyal dogs, so they always want to know as much time as possible where I am. So when they're out there, they know this. If they walk by, if they jump around out front, if those cats are out front, they do it intentionally. They just don't walk by. they will saunter and play by and then come back across from the driveway to their property. And the whole time Ivy's just going nuts.
You're
In-
talking about the kids.
Izzy as well, and her sister and the grandmother and any friends they happen to have over. They enlist everybody that visits them, children and adults.
Are the adults doing anything to get the dogs riled up in your observation?
In the front yard, they'll just stand there, you know, and they talk so loud. The whole street knows exactly what they're saying over there because they echo. And when Ivy barks out the front window, I have to have it closed. But now, but she echoes, you know, our houses are close. And so everything echoes and it goes all the way down the street. All their complaining about me, about my dogs, and you know, they stand on the edge of the property. Okay. Ivy can see them. Ivy can hear them. It aggravates Ivy. She's a shepherd. She has a very, very deep voice. And so when she barks, ain't nobody coming in my house because they know Ivy is the sweetest dog ever. She just has a deep voice. And people are afraid from day one when I adopted her and brought her home because she's big and she
Okay.
has a deep voice.
Any questions, follow-ups for Ms. Borghese, Ms. Williams? This is regarding her application for a PPO that I denied.
No.
Okay, very good. Then I'm going to give you a chance to talk about that. What about these incidents, the allegations that you're intentionally having your girls yell, sometimes obscene terms, you know, F this and she's a bitch type things, over the yard? Does that happen?
No.
Okay. Do you allow your children to use that language, when they're under your supervision?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. So if they're doing it, it's not with your okay or at your direction.
Oh, they don't do it.
Okay. What about throwing stuff over the fence?
No, never have I thrown anything over that fence, and neither have my children.
Okay.
Your Honor, I do have something to say. if
I'll
I
give
may.
you a chance again, Ms. Borghese, in just a moment here. I just want to make sure I get all the bases covered here. Um, okay, no, I think what about the incidents that she was talking about with the lights in the tree?
No, I have never touched the lights in the tree nor the tree. I don't even go near the tree close enough to even touch it.
Okay, all right. All right, Ms. Borghese, what did you want to say?
Two things. Actually, we can just address the tree right now.
Okay, sure.
She's always trying to damage my tree. And again, for the last 2 years, I quit putting lights in it. The 3 years or whatever prior, I would put 4 lights in it. They're these solar lights. You know, as you can see, this one is broke. It's just one of the many over the years. But I believe it was last year before I broke my knee. I see Kinsey out where my tree is with both girls, and she's breaking it, just breaking it. And I smartly took my phone and started recording. I walked out And I'm recording her, and she's talking to the girls. They're laughing at breaking my branches. And I said, "What are you doing? Leave my tree alone." Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Obviously, she was drunk that day. I did not know that at the time, but she then come around to the sidewalk, front part still grabbing at my tree, breaking the branches. It's a decorative tree. It's a bush, but it's like a tree. Okay.
And to clarify about the tree, is it entirely on your property, or are there branches that hang over her property?
Well, what they think is their property. Yes, there used to be that it was over there, but
Okay,
every year Arlo goes out there and cuts it down. My tree is so damaged, but it's very important I finish this story about her
okay.
break. Um, she then grabbed my phone out of my hands, held it behind her. She happened to have a ponytail that day, and she wouldn't give it back. And I grabbed her ponytail. She started screaming I was abusing her while she's holding my camera, my phone, while it was videoing. And I let go because I realized what I had done. Someone came and grabbed my phone, took it in the house. My mother saw this going on. She was alive at the time. She called the sheriff, and they came. They recorded the video. They went and talked to her, and then they came back over, and there was two officers, male and female. The female officer come over and she said she snockered. And I went, "Really?" I said, "Well, didn't know." And Kinsey went to jail for breaking my tree, stealing my phone, and being publicly intoxicated.
You're saying she was ultimately convicted of that?
Know how long she was gone, but the officers felt the need because they saw my video. They ran my phone. They took their cameras and watched the whole video, and they made a police report, and they hauled her butt off to jail.
Was that in Kent County? Was the Kent County Sheriff's in that?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. We live on the Kent County side of Casanova.
All right. Ms. Williams, what happened in that incident with the sheriff's department per your recollection?
Um, I was um charged with disorderly conduct for yelling. That was it.
Okay, so you pled guilty ultimately in district court for disorderly conduct?
I did, yeah.
Okay, all right. And that came out of that same incident that Ms. Borghesi's talking about. What date did that all occur? About?
Oh boy, I don't even know. Maybe last year, year before, could have been September sometime.
Okay. And you're done with your involvement with the court. You're not on probation or anything of that nature at this time? Okay. All right. Well, potentially the incident with the grabbing the hair, grabbing the phone, that could be a single incident. However, the other ones, regarding the tree and regarding upsetting the dogs here and telling the girls, to say cuss words or incite, um, a response over that fence. I simply can't find enough incidents, and one single incident is not enough to grant one of these neighbor PPOs. So I am also going to deny the uh, uh, application by Ms. Borghese or I'm going to affirm my denial of that PPO. I denied that one when I initially got it as not rising to the level required for a PPO. I guess that will leave the two of you there with no PPOs in place. I mean, and like I say, I view the situation here as it's very unfortunate. It's clearly the two of you have grown very upset with the other over time. I don't think that's limited to the stuff in the PPO here. I think there's more going on than meets the eye in terms of, who's putting up what on their houses and fences and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I can tell you, there's not a whole lot that the law can do to tell neighbors to um, be friends or get along with each other. The best we can do is tell you, well, don't go out there and hurt or hit the other person. Stay within the bounds of the law. If you think someone else is breaking the law or violating an ordinance, call the police or the village or whoever, is in charge of enforcing that ordinance and make a report of it. And then ultimately, the door to the courthouse is open. The two of you, either of you could apply for a PPO going into the future here. Again, if you think the conduct arises to that level. But as I see it now, it's and I mean, the one incident where the sheriffs did get involved, that's exactly the kind of thing that the law is trying to avoid, is the two people, going toe to toe and hurting each other, or potentially hurting each other. It doesn't sound like either of you got injured, fortunately, in that incident. But obviously, those are, it got so bad with neighbors in Ottawa County that there was a guy who was at my age, 59, had a feud with his neighbor for 20 years about where they put the snow off their driveways. And one day, middle of the winter, the thing came up again, and he got a pistol and shot her, slid her body down the hill in back of her house on a sled. Is now serving a life sentence without parole for first-degree murder because he shot his neighbor. So, those things can get very irritating and under your skin, but I would say, and I'll bet you that guy, I obviously haven't had any contact with him. And fortunately, was not in Kent County. But I'm guessing after cooling off for a couple of years in the Department of Corrections, he's saying, "Boy, I wish I'd done some things differently there." Not that he would ever been friends or liked that lady, but certainly there was something else, than that tragic ending to the drama, that wound up there. So, that's what I would challenge the both of you as is, none of these legal things are going to change the fact that you're neighbors or make you be best friends with each other. What I would challenge you to both do is try to figure out ways to keep the peace, so that you can live peacefully, and within the boundaries of your home. And if you feel like the law is being broken, well, then can't reach out to law enforcement. But I can't promise you any of those, as you both, contacted law enforcement. And clearly, that though it can solve some issues, it's not a long-term solution to the problem either. That we have to offer. It's my experience with people is that turning to these legal things, because there's no way I can ever know the totality of the relationship. I don't live in Casnovia. In fact, I'm not even sure I've been to Casnovia. So, I'm trying to put it into context in my head sitting here, and I'm doing it, probably less effectively than other people can. So, what I'm hoping is that the two of you can find a way forward. After all, it seems like you're both responsible people. You take care of pets, kids, dogs, your moms, you have, it's not as if the only thing you do is sit in the house and wait for the neighbor to violate the thing. You both have lives that go beyond that. I'd encourage you, emphasize the good stuff. Uh, Try to make a way to, forward to allow the relationship to work as best as it can, knowing it's never going to be perfect. And, if you feel the need, then, the courthouse doors do remain open for either of you to file a PPO going forward if you think it's needed. I just couldn't find enough evidence on either side today beyond that standard of a preponderance of the evidence to hold the PPO in place. So I thank you both for you've both been very polite. Honest, I think, in your communications today. It's very clear that there are some major disagreements, but nonetheless, you both sat through an hour here of, having communication without, feeling the need to scream at each other. And I can tell you, I do these hearings almost every Friday afternoon, and that doesn't always work out that way. So that tells me that the both of you, when you're at your best, have the ability to work things out. My only challenge to you is that you figure out, a way between you and that works for you and your families to move forward as best you can from this point. And I do thank you for both being polite and civil during the hearing today, and I wish you both a safe and pleasant weekend. With that, we are concluded.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So I see Mr. Mendoza is here, and also is Renee Langston on Zoom.
Yes, sir, Your Honor, I am.
Okay, so Mr. Mendoza, you want to come to the council table? And I see Ms. Langston has turned on her video. I'll put both of you under oath. You want to raise your right hand? Do you both swear from the testimony that you'll be providing will be truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Since thank you, Ms. Langston. I'll hear from Ms. Langston first, and then I'll turn to you, Mr. Mendoza.
Okay, so I originally called.
Hang on, just one second. Let me pull out the case file. So, Ms. Langston, I see that your claim is for $9,860 for engine failure negligent service. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, both parties are present in this case, and this is case number 39267. Go ahead, Ms. Langston now.
So, I originally contacted Edgar at Mecca Automotive to see if he could come out and do a diagnostic check on my car to see what was wrong with it and what needed to be repaired. He agreed that he would come to my house and, put the diagnostic check in the car to see what was wrong. The findings from that were that the oil pressure sensor was not working. So we agreed that he would come back and replace that part. Then once that part was completed, we determined that from there that the oil pump was not working. And we agreed that he would work on that to replace the oil pump. My car, originally the reason why I had called, because when the car started, the engine would immediately give a warning light that said it was the engine oil was hot. Not that the car was overheating, but the engine oil was hot and to immediately turn it off. So the car had to be towed to Mecca Automotive for him to work on it. He worked on replacing the oil pump, drain all the oil out, replace the new pump. And that from there was a couple other things that had to be done, like the oil had to be put in, some additional seals and stuff had to be replaced from, taking it apart to repair. Once that was all done, this ended up being around June 10th. I was called and said that the car was done and it was ready to go. The engine was on and it was running. When I got to Mecca Automotive, the engine was already on, the car was on, and Edgar said he needed to take a test drive. So he pulled out on the street, went hardly anywhere at all because he was back within 5 minutes, and you could hear that he had just gone down the street, like maybe a block or two. He came back and he said, okay, everything seems good to go. You can go ahead and take the car home. It's done. I had already paid him in advance for the replacement oil, the oil pump, and all of that work that needed to be done prior to him calling me and saying the car was ready to be picked up. So I left that day, got in the car, and I left, and I went approximately 500 feet down the road, and my car started making a very loud pinging and clacking noise. So I called back to my significant other, Aaron, who was there with Edgar.
and said that the car was making noise. So they immediately told me to bring the car back, which I did. I turned around and I was back probably within less than 5 minutes. I was not able to go very fast. And the farther I was driving, the louder and louder the noise was getting. So when I pulled into back to the automotive shop, they said that Edgar said it sounded like I blew a rod in my engine. And that he would have to look at it further from there. So within the next week, he called me back and said that it appears that the engine oil was not pumping through the engine, which caused it to continue to get overheated. The oil got too hot and the bearings melted and blew through the engine, causing the engine to no longer be eligible to drive. So we called several mechanics at the same, other mechanics to find out what they thought was wrong with the car, why it would be making that noise. And they all agreed that what would make the engine start making that clicking and clacking noise was the oil was not going back through the engine like it regularly should. So there was a mechanic next door that had told us that he checked it with one of his tools that checks whether the oil is pumping through or not. And he said that the oil was not going through the engine. And the fact that the oil was not going through the engine is what caused the bearings to blow and the engine and have total engine failure. The mechanic next door also told us that he had told Edgar, don't let that car leave. It's not finished. It's not ready to go and not to be driven on the road. So I feel that the work that Edgar did say that he completed was to replace the oil pump. He did, but it was negligent work because the oil pump was still not sending oil through the engine. When I asked Edgar what he recommended or what he would be willing to do to fix it, he said nothing. There's nothing more that I can do, nor will I do on this car. And that I am not of any fault. It's all your fault for driving the car down the road and the rods blowing and the bearings blowing through the engine was my fault for driving the car. So at that point, there was obviously going to be no agreement. Edgar was not willing to help nor pay pay for anything that he'd already done. That was negligent work. And so that's why we filed the small claims. Now, when we were in the mediation room, Edgar mentioned that it was just people trying to rip him off for work done. Well, I had paid him in advance before I was even told the car was done and ready to go.
Langston, you have said that you paid him in advance a couple of times. What was that advance was for the repair, and how much was that?
That was for the replacement of the oil pump, the oil pressure extender, timing fork, cover, crank. The total was 2,000. Sorry, the invoice is really hard to read. The total invoice was for $2,700. And I had paid him in advance. The reason why the claims is for higher than that is because now my engine is not usable. It needs to either be replaced or rebuilt. So I have an estimate for the cost to rebuild the engine, and that's where the amount of the claims came from.
Okay, and your claim is asking for $9,860, and your paid in advance was $2,700 for repairs. Is this $9,860 based on your value of the car? Is that what you're claiming?
No, it's based on the estimate I have for the rebuilding of the engine. The rebuilding of the engine sorry for my dogs. The rebuilding of the engine is $10,162. We owed my significant other, Aaron, owed Edgar for some other work done on another car, which we just subtracted from the estimate and figured that, we would claim that amount. It's a little
Okay.
less than the engine
And then
rebuild.
you refer to a mechanic who told you, who is that mechanic that you're referring to? And do we have any evidence that you have provided in terms of his inspection? And
Submit whatever you.
I'm not talking to someone else other than you, Ms. Langston. The
Okay.
other person is not under oath.
Okay, it is, the mechanic is, name is Robert. He works at radioactive fabrication, and it is a building adjacent to Mecca Automotive where Edgar Mendoza works.
Thank you.
He
Do you have
specializes,
anything else to add?
he specializes in working on LS and LT engines, which is what one in my Camaro. And I feel that he was there and was also helping with the replacing of the pump, and he has information that seems valid. I did call other mechanics as well as Chevrolet, and they all said the same thing, that the oil pump not going through the engine is what would have caused the bearings to be shot through the engine.
Is that it?
That's it, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just want to say, Mr. Kiska and his wife contact me around on the latest of June to check on their car after
June of this year?
this year, yeah.
Okay.
After I done another repairs on one of the other vehicles for Mr. Kiska, his spouse. And well, I checked the car over his location, and I know that what she stated, the car showing all the signs about oil pressure. There were like a Christmas tree with all the warning signs lighting up. They said somebody else has been working on the vehicle, and they mess up with the electronics and some stuff of the computer. Still, the car was able to crank it, but I hear there was something going on at the very beginning. So I just said, well, might need to take the car to the shop because over your place, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to drive it because sounds like there is problems. The warning sign is telling low oil pressure, so stop driving at the very beginning. So they towed the vehicle over my shop, and all down over there, still was no idea exactly what was going on. The first thing I did is drain the oil in front of Mr. Kiska. He was there, and the oil came out with metal shavings. That was the first sign. He saw the oil, and he said, no, it's looking good. I think he's expecting to see big chunks of metal or something like that. We are talking about metal shavings. It's just, you can tell the metal blended with the oil. And he said, no, it's looking good. Go ahead. Let's do the oil pump replacement. After we've been talking about just the sended unit, which I did over their place before they towed the vehicle. That didn't settle down the problem. That's the reason they agreed to take it down over my shop. So that was the first sign. It was my mistake to make Mr. Kiska sign any, like a waiver or something that telling me or excluding me about there was something wrong prior my repair. They also state the car has been driving for somebody else and got overheated, that's what she said. And they took it for a joyride or something. So at that point, the car was already with internal failures. We agreed to do the oil pump because that was the only thing telling, on the warning signs. So, okay, well, you want an oil pump replacement? That's what you got. That's what I did. I get a new pump for him, install it. Unfortunately, in order to do this, you have to do pretty much the whole surgery. I have to spend 5 hours to access to this thing. After I access to this thing, I got a new pump. installed it and everything, got primed with all the procedures, sealed the timing cover of the engine. I didn't open the whole engine, just the timing cover, and put everything back together, the water pump and the rest of the accessories. I cranked it up, we cranked up the car, he was there, and the car was running really rough. That's the reason they called the mechanic next door, who was specialized on these kind of vehicles. They did another repair on the intake manifold of the car because the car was running low RPMs since who knows. So the mechanic did this modification and make the car running properly again with the proper RPMs. And that was the part of my neighbor next door. No? There's two shops, mine, regular shop, and the specialized racing shop next door. That's the only thing he did. He didn't put his hands more in. He checked the car and the car appears fine, but it wasn't because all the signs are still there. The warning signs, all the lights in there. So at the time we cranked it up the car, immediately, as soon begins to run normal, begins to make clacking noises. Mr. Kiska get into the car and step on the gas pedal and rev it up the car, all full throttle. And he also took a video and sent it to his wife. I was laughing, blah, blah, blah. He's ready. And I said, well, he's ready. It has been paid. He paid me on payments. He never paid me on advance the 1,700. He just gave me 200, 400 till I complete the repair. So when I delivered the car to them, they were there, but the car has the problems still. Was cranking, was running, but still I hear the noises immediately. So as soon she get into the car and drove out of the shop, he rubbing tires and everything. He went out the road. Not even 5 minutes later, we received a phone call to his husband, and she stayed like, oh, the engine is making tapping noise, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, well, bring him back to see now what else. And they brought back, and she drove back to my shop. The car, of course, they've been doing more louder noises. So to get this, this is the old pump. To get to this point, to get scratched and overheated, it's even blue with groups inside. You can tell has been friction and overheated. When I got to this point, I have to have it outside. I opened and I realized all this. But that was obvious to me from the very beginning when I drained the oil. There were problems prior I put my hands into the car. So they just asked me to do the oil pump replacement. That's what they got, oil pump replacement. I didn't rebuild the engine. I didn't open the rest of the engine. They have electrical issues. And that's how it turns. I tried to explain them to whoever works in the car before, they mess up with this thing. This doesn't get shot in 5 minutes. This takes some time. The car was, I run a Carfax, I have it here. And the last service, it happened on Stonewater Automotive. I have it here when the car was 528,000 miles. When they show up over my shop, the vehicle have 67,000 miles on it. So we are talking about almost 10,000 miles from the last service till they show up to my shop to get it repaired. All this time, the car has been parking over here, their house for the last 7 months probably, or 6 months, something like that, because they were really, with a mold and stuff, spider webs and everything. But they knew already they have a problem. So they just been looking to find somebody like me, trying to help them out. And now this is where I am. I've been doing this for 25 years in Thurston County area. I think I've been here 2 times in all these several years. And unfortunately, they don't understand what happened with their vehicle. Somebody else messed up with this vehicle. And now here we are. That's the only things I can say. Well, I have the pump. I can prove you this pump belongs to this specific car. I have a bunch of pictures here.
It belongs to Ms. Langston's car?
Yes, that's the old pump from her,
Old pump.
the old pump. I put a brand new, it's still on the car, of course.
And
There's
that mileage proof, did you provide to Ms. Langston
Mhm.
or Mr. Kiska before?
Yes.
Today?
Mhm.
I want to get on those.
Excuse me, can,
I'll turn to you, Ms. Langston, in just a second. I'll give you the last
Okay.
word. Just 1 second.
okay, thank you.
Are you, anything else to add, Mr. Mendoza?
Well, I have some documents you can review and verify what I'm talking about. I have
And then
some,
you have not provided those documents to court files before today?
no.
Okay, have
unfortunately.
you given the copy to Ms. Langston or Mr. Liska before today?
No.
Okay. And what would they refer to before I look at them? What are they about?
I'm sorry?
So one of those that you were referring to was a service that they did when they had a mileage of certain number of 5,000 something, and
Mhm.
then next one for after 10,000 miles.
Mhm.
What is the other exhibit or other evidence you're referring to?
Another evidence I refer, well, I have just, it says there were like some accidents and another services, but nothing like,
And what is the make and model of this car?
It's a 2011 Chevy Camaro. It's a 14 years old car, which is what they are asking for that car. That's not the cost of that car. It doesn't cost 10,000, and it's not even a supercharged. It's not even. I mean, it's the luxury car. It's an SS normal engine. That's it. Nothing as luxury.
Thank you. So Ms. Langston, I see Mr. Kiska with you. I have not put him under oath. I'll give you the last word. If he wants to testify, I have to put him under oath.
Yes, please.
Yes, let's put him
You
under
want to
oath.
raise your right hand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear from the testimony that you'll be providing will be truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Okay, go ahead. What do you have to add?
Okay, first off, I was there when we drained the oil. I ran my hands through it and there was no metal sharding of any sorts because I would have not gone forward with the process knowing if I had seen metal shards that the engine was already past recovery. Okay. I knew it was, and he showed me the original pump and he said he don't know why it quit working and opened it up and just shrugged his shoulders. And neighbor next door, Robert of Radioactive Fabrication, says he hooked his special tool up to it and said that the engine block was, or his thing was reading 0 on the oil pressure, and it was not pumping oil through the engine. It should not be let go. I had Esker twice before we let that car go. Is it safe to drive? And he said yes. You know, I had him come out to the house, diagnosed it first. I had took a lot of preparations, and I paid him. Yes, it was. He said he'd take it payments, but I paid him all in full early before we even took the car. So, you know, I don't see how it was 200 here, 400 here, 500 there. Yes, but he was paid in full before we even got the car completed. And like I said, I took several preparations, making sure that engine was going to be fine before I shelled out $2,000 to have it repaired.
Oil pump replaced.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Thank you. Ms. Langston, you have the last word. Go ahead.
I cannot remember what I was going to point out at this point. It's something, that the oil pump that Edgar is saying is from my car. I don't, how do I know that that is truly from my car? I did go back to Mecca Automotive after the car had, after this whole incident to try to come up with some kind of agreement. And we discussed what could be done later. And we kind of walked around the corner of the shop and he picked up an oil pump and said, well, this oil pump is not from your car. I do not know where yours is at the moment, but look in here. This is the area which I showed Aaron that there had been some metal shards in there. So he specifically told me the pump he was holding and showing me at that point was not from my car. However, if I had been told that there was metal in the engine oil once it was drained, or there was metal shavings all over the oil pump, I would have not continued with the work. The whole process of this was done with the intent knowing that I am looking to find out if my engine could be fixed or not. Obviously, it does, you know, you might have to do one thing and then another thing comes up or another thing comes up. So it is a special engine on the car. It is an LS99 manual transmission. It's the car itself, a 2011. If you look online, because I actually did think about just selling it, just not working on it anymore. That car, every single one of the 2011 manual transmission 6-speed is still selling currently for $22,000. The year before or the year after are selling for maybe 8 or 9.
11 was a
So
special
the
year.
2011 year is a very special year. It's still, people are still wanting that engine, that car. And for him to say that the cost of the engine replacement isn't even worth the 14-year-old car. Maybe the car's 14 years
Thank you, Ms.
old.
Langston. I think we are going in a wrong direction. I can understand that certain cars can have different historical value. I'm not putting much weight on what Mr. Mendoza said regarding the age of your car and what his estimate might be about the value. Here, what
Okay.
I am prepared to rule on your matter, unless you have anything else to say within the next 1 minute or so.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so in this case, you have filed a notice and you're claiming $9,860. And then you testify that you paid him in advance to change that oil pump or certain number of services that you asked Mr. Mendoza to perform. And your testimony was that you paid him $2,700 in advance. I've heard your testimony. I have not seen any evidence in terms of any exhibits other than your testimony that you felt that because what Mr. Mendoza, how he performed on the car is not to your satisfaction. I have also heard testimony by Mr. Mendoza that he replaced the oil pump and then you paid him in certain payments. Now, what I have here is to make a finding that there is a claim of negligence, which requires that requires the proof by preponderance of the evidence that the other party failed to exercise reasonable care that a prudent person would do. He is a mechanic, so he's expected to perform the duties of a mechanic that an objectively person looking at that situation objectively will realize. So I have to show, first of all, Mr. Mendoza had a duty of care. Yes, he did. He had a duty of care to perform the service that a objectively reasonable person would expect. Did he breach that duty? He performed that duty, and I don't find that he breached that duty. He did what he was expected to and in what you asked and what an objectively reasonable person would expect. Now, that you're saying that your car subsequently has malfunctioned, I have to see evidence that that was caused by his malfunction or not or breach of his duty. If he had breached his duty, and then find what damages to afford. At this point, I am not convinced that you have met the burden by preponderance of the evidence to show, based on your testimony, that Mr. Mendoza has breached his duty of care, and his breach of that duty caused the malfunction of the car. There might be more evidence, but I heard from you that you took it to a mechanic other than Mr. Mendoza, who agreed with you that there is some issue, but I have not seen any evidence to prove that. So therefore, I'm going to dismiss this small claims. We are completed with your case, Ms. Langston and Mr. Mendoza. I have dismissed this petition, this claim.
Thank you, Your
Just
Honor.
just so you know, Your Honor, I did upload documents to the case file. I don't know why you're saying there was nothing there. I did have the bill, the estimate, a statement. Those were all uploaded, but I understand. Thank you for your time.
I don't have them at hand at this moment. If you have filed within the last certain number of hours, they are not downloaded in the files. I did not consider that. Thank you.